You know, I wonder if those sods up in Parliament, I do wonder if those people high up in Parliament, the ones privileged to govern this wonderful country of ours, the tea's in the wrong sodding place. I'm sorry. It was ridiculously simple. It was ridiculously simple. They reduced the duty on imported goods so much that it was no longer commercially viable to bring in... They reduced the duty on imported goods so much that it became no longer commercially viable to... Oh, for God's sake, it's so simple. This strange edifice is a Martillo Tower. It was built as part of a... This strange edifice is a Martello Tower. It was built as part of a... This strange edifice is a Martello Tower. It was built as a... Now, of course, the great thing is, it's not actually hollow. No, it's not solid. Now, one place that you could see all the coaches as they hurtled off... Hurtled? This is all that's left of the old manor house that once stood here. It had permission to crenellate from the king and became unstable. Oops, sorry. It's always something, isn't it? The tide started to turn for some of the larger gangs when they began to push their weight around too much. I got that wrong, sorry. Or were they, perchance, benefiting from the occasional keg or two of brandy, the roll of this and a faggot of that and a bottle of the other? And it was ridiculously simple. They reduced the... Oh, there's an aeroplane. The tide started to turn for the larger gangs when they began to throw their weight around too much. One particular gruesome murder there's no between, sorry. Back on the Romney Marshes, and I think I did this, I can't remember what I did now, but it doesn't matter, I'll carry on. Back on the Romney Marshes, I'm still lumbered with this bag of illicit tea. You might be asking yourselves, why tea? Surely that's as cheap as chips. Well, back in the 1740s, tea was the chief good smuggled in. Back on the Romney Marshes, I'm still stranded. No, I'm not lumbered. I like that word. Back on the Romney Marshes, and I'm lumbered, not stranded, you idiot. In those days, if you owed money, you were sent to prison until you settled your bills. And now the sun's coming up. A few miles to the east of Shrewsbury on the old London to Holyhead Road is Ad Achem, bollocks, keep rolling. So you could buy, oh bollocks, sorry, first 3 or 4 shillings a pound. That's a massive markup. Whereas before you could simply take your wool on a cart all the way down to Fred on the coast here, he'll nip across the channel and sell it to the highest bidder. Now, you've got to pack up your something or other and you've got to hump it onto the thingamajig, and then I can't remember any of it. Well, the law courts are still here, but they no longer dangle folk on the end of a rope or burn them at the stake. But all that took place in Lewis. But all that took place in Lewis's grisly past. We just got the runner at the end then, I guess. Religion mattered. From the moment you were born, how you worshipped your God. No, that's wrong. Religion was everything. From the moment you were born, how you worshipped your God mattered. It ultimately decided whether you would really be... Oh. I've just come down from St. John's Hill, down here, and I didn't know there's this wonderful recreation ground, and adjacent to these man-made, spring-fed, artificial, oh for fart's sake. You see these lovely little cottages? Before the Coast Guard was guarding the... Bribery was rife, and by far the easiest option. But how do you stop not all goods? You see, the Confederation of Cinque Ports and 2 ancient towns, to give them their official title, were basically Hastings, Romney, Hythe, Dover and Sandwich. And they were given a special... Of course, it was much smaller in its day, just this side of the building. And it would have had a... oh, bollocks. Because originally it would have been much smaller than this, just this side of the building. But it would... oh, yeah, dump that. Of course, it was much smaller than this in its day, just... this... I've confused myself with that move. There doesn't seem to be much of that vast and splendid building that was once here, and I think we can probably put that down to Henry VIII and his henchmen. Oh, bollocks. And then there were shed loads of other ancillary buildings, such as chapels, dormitories, and... It was the 14th of May, 1264. A royalist outlooker had spotted a train. It was the 14th of May, 1264. A royalist outlooker had spotted de Montfort and his mob and his barrack and his... But in the 1740s, tea was one of the most smuggled goods. It's one of... oh, for... Don't put that in. Tea was one of the chief goods. One of the chief aspects of working with Mr. Pegram is that he is incredibly patient.